Welcome back.
Hi.
Episode 2.
Oh my
How
God.
are we doing today?
Oh, I'm just on my 3rd cup of coffee today.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is one of those days.
It's a needed coffee day for sure.
Oh my God.
And bless the cauldron for
Girl.
3 sisters. Had to throw that one in.
Oh my God, I am so proud of you. I've never been more proud of someone in this moment in my life. That was such a good pull.
Right?
Bless the cauldron.
Fuck yeah. Bless
3
the cauldron
sisters?
to 3 sisters.
I'm dead. Oh, that was so good.
So, 3 sisters. Thank God for
my
them
God.
today, because we are in need of some coffee.
Yes.
3 Sisters is a family-owned business out in Burbank.
Yeah. They named it after their 3 daughters, which is very cute.
Very, very cute.
Love that.
And they started in 2021, so they're fairly new.
Yeah, survived the pandemic, everything.
Yeah,
Congratulations, because we know that's not easy to do.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But what did you get today? We actually got the same thing.
I know. Why don't you tell? Because this was all your idea.
You're right.
So
You're right.
I'm
All
giving you
right.
all the credit.
So we got the 3 Sisters latte today, which is just a latte infused with lavender and then rose syrup. So we got that with almond milk. It comes with 2 espresso shots.
Thank
So
God.
please kick in soon. Please.
Well, that's from someone who wanted a 3rd espresso shot.
I did want a third.
And I had to talk her off the ledge because
Yeah.
I was like, no, we can't do 3.
We need to walk straight and see straight and not be shaky. But whatever,
Oh my
it's
God.
fine.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
this
so-
place is so cute. It's such a vibe. Like inside, they really did a good job kind of making it like a work-friendly environment, but also it's nice to go meet other people there. And they do this thing where they've got like a little library, like a give a book, take a book. And I love places like that.
Yeah, it's really cute. There's a whole bunch of different books, different genres. I saw books that I've read in the past. I've seen a lot of different self-help books there, a lot of fiction books. They just ask that, take it as long as you need it. Just make sure you bring it back and, be kind about that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
We got this flavor today specifically too, because what we're going to be diving into with these following chapters heading into the spring court, it only seemed right to get a flower infused coffee. And it's pretty good.
It is pretty good.
It's all right. Yeah.
Very on brand for these next few chapters.
Absolutely.
And I feel like I'm finally ready to actually dive into them because, oh my God, these chapters were
information overload.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I forgot. So a lot of her books are very much an info dump at the beginning. And she's very good at world building, which I appreciate. But I forgot just how detailed she gets. And oh my God, I was like, what is happening right now?
Right.
I mean, immediately you're traveling. So Farrah's leaving her home. She's heading towards the wall to Prithian to go
live out the rest of her days.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we know nothing except that the wolf doesn't want to talk to her. He doesn't want anything to do with her. And she is also happy she's leaving, but also she keeps stressing about leaving.
Yeah.
And I find that so interesting because I'm like,
what a whirlwind of emotions.
Yeah. I don't know what I'd be going through if I was put, God, I'm never going to be put in that situation because I'm never going to meet a fairy and my life is going to live out boring and alone. But just one can only dream, guys.
Oh, man.
But I love that as she's struggling with this, the wolf is over it.
Yeah.
He's over her.
Yeah.
And immediately
understandably
is goodbye.
so, too.
Yes. Oh my God. Seriously. If you were stuck with a 19-year-old girl and who's asking you questions that you don't want to answer for 2 days.
After she just killed your friend.
Yep.
Yeah. I'd want to slice her.
Yeah. And he's kind enough not to slice her.
Exactly.
He just knocks her out for 2 days.
Yes. Yep. Yep,
so you're immediately thrown into that whole new world.
Right.
Because when she wakes up, now all of a sudden she's in this... She hears birds chirping and the sun is out and there's flowers everywhere.
Yeah.
And first of all, I was so glad that it was sunny today in California. Guys, it has been overcast and gloomy as hell these last few days. Like, I'm not even kidding. Yeah. It's been awful. And the sun came out today, and I'm reading these chapters going, it is so spring. Nice and springy. And I feel spring has sprung. And I felt like it was just, yeah.
That's funny. Yeah. I've kind of been liking the overcast. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, God.
Because yeah, I like overcast, but I do like this sunny because I get a tan too.
Yes.
Yeah.
The tan.
Anyways, we're getting into the spring court, and spring has sprung for us, which is perfect. California knew that we had to
finally
talk about this.
Finally, we are here. But yeah, so now she's in this new world. Mm-hmm. We'll get back on track. We stopped running on tangents.
Right.
And she looks around, and the first thing she notices is that there's no one there.
Yeah.
It's empty.
It's empty.
And all these rumors and stories that she's heard about the Fae and the fairies, none of it looks like it's real.
Right.
And as a reader, you're like, oh, this is odd. Mm-hmm. What the heck's happening? And then the wolf transforms and becomes a Fae.
Right.
And he's got this mask on. So immediately you're like, why?
Right.
Are you wearing a mask, sir?
And she also did Feyre in the novel when they were entering the spring court. Also, it brought up a lot of angering emotions in her, because the fact that back in the human realm, they're freezing cold and they're starving to death, and it's really, really harsh winters that they go through. So she's here in the spring court thinking what kind of power do these Fae have to be able to manipulate weather?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we're here in the human realm starving and all this kind of stuff, freezing in the cold and everything, while you're up here basking in sunlight, having birds chirping around you. It's I know it definitely brought up some angering emotions for her, which she already had angering emotions, so it kind of just added to it continuously.
Yeah.
And it was a big trek from the human realm to Prythian. They were traveling about 2.5 days, maybe 3. And yeah, it was a long journey, and she was saying that even the horses that they were riding to get to Prythian, one, she hadn't been on a horse in so long.
Yeah,
and so just feeling the warmth of the horse's body on her body, which was freezing, felt great. But then also acknowledging that even different creatures like these horses still respect and admire the Fae in a way, where this huge beast is towering on top of the horse to go ahead and ride it, and the horse just kind of gives it a nod of approval, like, okay, we're gonna go, I respect you, you're the rider, yada yada, And so they went off and they go on their journey, and then they get to the spring court, find it empty.
Well, I like what you were saying about the anger too, because as she walks into this massive estate that he brings her to, they go into what I assume is probably a dining room. And immediately she notices the spread of food. And this is before he transforms from wolf into Fae, but she sees all of this food on that table. And she's like, how in the world? She says never, even when they had money, she never had this much food at her disposal. Her family never had that much food. And in my head, I'm like, how much food is on this actual table? Because it's only, at this point, you only know of this man, this creature, is the only person present currently. And you're like, all this food is being wasted. So, I mean, I can see where her anger is coming from in that case, too.
Right.
Because now all of a sudden, she's like, we're all starving to death, and here you are.
Having everything.
Having every luxury possible.
And I think another thing that feeds to that anger, too, is, she didn't expect Fae food to be essentially human food, too. I mean, they go into what was on those trays, and you had the chicken and the fish and the asparagus, and I think the mushrooms, and all these kinds of things that humans eat. And so I don't know what she was expecting Fae to eat. Maybe humans.
Well,
maybe humans laid out on the table, but instead she got what she would normally eat at her own dinner table.
Yeah. And the whole idea that, like, you're not allowed to eat as humans if you eat fairy food and drink fairy wine. She says you become slaves. Your soul becomes slaves to these fae. Yeah. And so she's afraid to touch it. She doesn't want to touch it. And he's trying to convince her it's not poisoned. And you're just like, is it though? But also,
I'm starving. It looks great.
It looks so
good. But if I eat it, I might die sort of situation.
And like, he tells her repeatedly, he's like, it's not poison. And, you know, as she says, fae can't lie is what she believes. So it's like, okay, then eat the damn food, girl.
Yeah.
Because, like, at this point, she's still trying to escape. She wants to get out.
Yeah.
But she keeps going back and forth between do I escape and I'm lightheaded and I'm not going to make it 5 feet? Or do I eat first, then escape? But she still won't eat the damn food. And I'm as a reader, I'm like, girl, just eat the fucking food. just go sit down at this table, eat the fucking food. And I think at this point, that's when Lucian comes in and we get introduced to Tamlin's emissary, Lucian, who's wearing a fox mask. Okay. I won't lie. When I first read this, I did not see him as an attractive man. But now with all like the art on Instagram and everything, have you seen?
Oh, thank God for...
my God.
I mean, I've got my feelings about AI, but thank God for this AI art. Seriously.
Girl, he is fine. I don't even care about his like orb eye. I'm all for the scar down the face.
It's kind of hot.
Yes.
It makes it more hot.
Oh my God.
Now we're into the chisme.
Guys. Like, I was reading it now this time around going, I can, with the way he talks too, I was like, oh,
it's getting hot in here.
Like I found myself being like, I like you more than I like Tamlin, but that's a whole nother story.
Right. So that's when we actually get introduced to who this wolf fae is and what his name is, because on the trek from human realm to Perithian, Feyre keeps asking this wolf, what's your name? What's your name? And he's not saying anything. Fair enough. But it's not until Lucian comes into the picture where he then calls out his name, Tamlin. So that's when we're introduced to Mr. Tamlin.
We could say a lot, but we're not going to.
Yeah.
We're just going to think it and let you read the book, and then you can come to your own conclusions.
So Tamlin, he's just imagine his beast form, and then into his human form, he still has that same color fur as the beast form of him, longer golden blonde hair, very muscular, very attractive in Feyre's perspective.
Except for the mask. Well, even with the mask, she says that his jawline is super attractive in his eyes. And
piercing green eyes. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, the first time I read it, all I could think of, and even in these first few chapters, all I think of is the cartoon Beauty and the Beast. And that the man at the end of Beauty and the Beast, when the beast transforms into a man, that's literally it's Tamlin. Yeah. It's 100% Tamlin.
Honestly, and like the next few chapters, what we're about to dive into too, it's very, very similar to Beauty and the Beast for sure.
I know. When the first time I read it, I was like, oh my God, am I reading a retelling of this story?
Just a more adult version.
Yes. I swear to God, that's what I thought. And I was like, wow, this is, I'm here for it.
Totally.
Like, Beauty and the Beast was my favorite. But yeah, also during this part, you learn that the wolf's name was Andrus.
Yes, that Feyre killed.
Yep. And that he was a sentinel of Tamlin, and he was a friend. And
he was high fae as well.
And Feyre apologizes for murdering their friend, basically.
Yes. Yeah, because Lucian was very, very kind of dickish to her about it.
That's a good way to put that.
Right. Yeah. And just making kind of snarky remarks about her to Tamlin in front of her. So then that was only angering Feyre more.
Yep.
But then again, at the same time, she felt like she had to hold her tongue back, because she was like, if I speak up and, stand up for myself, I can very much get killed, because Lucian very much wants to kill me right
100%.
now. 100%.
And the first thing she notices too is he's got this massive sword on him. And she's just like, that sword is not for decoration. He knows how to use that sword.
Right.
And yes, he does know how to use that sword.
Yeah.
But I I loved that interaction. And then Feyre just being like, I'm going to go to bed now. And him making fun of her for being human.
Right.
And he was just like, I haven't seen you get like your kind in so long. But you're basically, he's like, you're pathetic.
Right.
And you're just like,
right.
Oh, you're harsh, man.
Yeah.
Real
and then
harsh.
Feyre keeps asking the question to Tamlin specifically, you know, well, what am I to do with my life here? You know, you've granted me to keep my life. What do I do here? Like, is what's going on? And Tamlin is essentially just like, do what you want. I don't fucking care. You can be here. You can live anywhere where you want in Prythian, which I had some questions about as we get later into the books. I found that very interesting that he was saying anywhere in Prythian because that can really be anywhere.
And
yeah. And so, you know, then it's funny how Tamlin starts asking her if she had any hobbies, you know, if you know, since, you know, we're giving you life here and you can do what you want. Well, do you have any hobbies? What do you like to do? And it's that awkwardness of like being the captor and you have like your captive with you and you're just like, well, is there anything you like to do, buddy? What do you like to do? So it's that awkwardness, and it very much brought me back to Beauty and the Beast, where Beast is asking, you know, Beauty. Well, I remember exactly what he was at. Well, Belle, like what she liked to do, and like just the awkwardness and the like. You can definitely feel the energy of like there's kind of somewhat intention behind what he's doing and asking. Yes. But being so awkward about it. And then that's when we're also introduced to Alice. And Alice very much resembled Mrs. Potts to me.
Oh my God, 100%. Yes.
Everything about her, just like picturing her, the imagery that Sarah gives us about Alice, I'm just like, it's Mrs. Potts. Either Mrs. Potts or the dresser from from Belle.
Love the dresser.
Yes.
I love the dresser.
So then we learned that Alice is a servant in the court, in the spring court. Even though she's a servant, she can very much kill Feyre in an instant.
Yeah. I love Alice, she's funny. I love the advice she gives where she's like, bite your tongue and use your ears, basically. She's like, listen.
Yeah.
And then she was like, we're safe here in the grounds here, but outside of the grounds,
watch yourself.
Watch yourself, exactly. But going along the lines of what you said about Tamlin being awkward in like the whole getting to know you thing, when he starts giving Feyre compliments, I'm dead. Your hair is clean. You look better than before. Like,
just like, thanks,
dude. But, like, if someone gave me that compliment, I'd be like, what the hell did I look like before, man? Like, come on. But I was cracking up because it really does seem like there's some sort of ulterior motive to him wanting to know this stuff. Yeah. So now looking back on it, you're just like, oh, okay. Like reading this time, I was like, I know so much more now than I did then, but it makes so much sense why he was doing this and why he was asking these questions and telling her these things and trying to compliment her. And you're just like, oh, I did not pick up on it the first time I read through it.
Of course, yeah.
It's so good. I was like, oh, nice little nugget you dropped there, SJM.
Yeah.
I love that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And here at this point, you know, Feyre is still worried about her family, trying to, you know, Tamlin says that her family is still being taken care of, being cared for, but she doesn't necessarily know how or what that means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was also, I don't know about you, but I was getting so annoyed with her, like, freaking out about her family. And I don't know if it was just because, like, I don't understand it. Like, I'm not in that situation.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, girl, you have a chance to just literally, like, live a life for a second that doesn't involve you hunting, starving, being at risk every single day.
Yeah.
And all you're doing is, like, having a panic attack about your two sisters and a father who never cared.
Yeah.
And granted, if I was in her position, I'd probably be having a panic attack for different reasons. But like,
yeah,
I was like, come on, girl. Like, enjoy it for a second.
Yeah.
Just enjoy it. It's like a vacation, right?
In a way, yeah.
A very scary vacation.
With very handsome men.
Oh my God, but seriously, though. But I love when she asks Alice, she's like, what am I supposed to do with my time here? And Alice is like, go look around the gardens.
Yeah.
And she's like, sure. But she does. She goes down. She goes to go to the gardens, and Tamlin's like there, and the first thing he says is you.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, great. So you go from trying to give her compliments to calling her you.
Yeah.
Because that's how we do it.
Right.
But now he is walking with her, and he's kind of talking to her about what's happening. And we find out that there's a sickness called the blight. Or is that what he refers to it as? And you find out it's magical based. It's not like a disease or a plague or anything, but it's affecting the lands. And Feyre's question is, well, is it going to affect the human world? Yeah. And he was like, eventually, yes. Probably. Eventually it will. And the reason why Andres was even over the wall was to search for a cure. And so now we just have a whole new info dump happening here.
Right.
Because all of that is very important to remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So then, while Farah is still out with Tamlin in the garden, she's definitely still on high alert. She's still got her huntress in her.
Oh, yeah.
Her qualities in there. And, she's not just prancing around the garden looking at the cute little roses or anything like that. Like, she's looking for a means of escape. And she's trying to see, okay, if I did this is where I would hide, this is where I would do this. So still having that huntress mentality, again, which goes back to our last episode of us talking about how she even has the knowledge to think about that and be an actual hunter. She still has that within her, which then, I don't think we'll ever not see within her. It's just part of who she is, which is really cool.
Yeah, because she was forced to be this way.
Yeah, and, unfortunately.
Yeah, but then, like, the circumstances forced her to become this way. But then you look at Nesta and Elaine and what those circumstances forced them to become, and you're like, everyone took them and went a different way with them.
Right.
And Feyre became strong because of what she went through.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because then at dinner that night, she steals a knife. And like, I'm just imagining this as like a straight up butter knife that she's slipping in her tunic. And I'm just like, that ain't gonna do shit, girl. But good on you for like sneaking it while they're talking.
Right.
And thinking that no one saw, but okay.
Right.
But she starts coming up, she's still devising plans to try and find someone who can plead her case.
Yeah.
And so then she latches onto this idea that maybe if she can convince Lucien to talk to Tamlin to let Feyre leave, to let her go back home. Because she knows that Lucien doesn't want her here.
Yeah.
And so she takes that and decides to track him down to have a conversation with him to do just that.
Exactly.
And that's at the point where Tamlin decides that he's going to try and flirt with our girl again and ask if she wants a tour, to which she then denies him
very quickly and walks off.
And I was just like, man, that was a brutal shutdown right there. Yeah.
And then she goes and finds Lucien in the stables, where then she sees other servants with the same mask on. So you still see everyone with a mask on, at least in the spring court, which is still becomes very important.
Well, then, yes, because I forgot to mention, did find out that the masks were part of what the blight is. Because they were at a masquerade when it happened, and the mask will not be removable.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So then she finds Lucien, and then he offers her to go out on border patrol with him. And then she asks, if this is his job, if this is his responsibility in the spring court. And then we learn, which Lucian is still very upset about, that he was actually covering Andres's shift. So the shift that the two of them went on was the shift that Andres, who she killed, that was his duty. So at that point, she was then given the opportunity to apologize to Lucian himself, and she did.
Yep.
Tries to redeem herself there, and I guess he just, whatevered it off, you know?
Well, then he calls her out, and he's like, I know exactly what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
I can't talk to Tam. I love that he calls him Tam and not Tamlin. Tam. But
it just shows how close they are, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But immediately he calls her on exactly what she's doing.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, you're not going to find anyone who's going to be able to fix this, basically.
Right.
Unless you talk to someone who can't not answer you.
Yeah.
And that's when she learns of the Suriel, who she has to trap, though, in order to get this information.
Yes. And who is the Cereal?
The cereal?
Cereal box. The Cereal.
The Suriel is a fae, a version of a fae. We don't know much about him yet. All we know is that you do have to trap one in order to get it to talk.
Yes. So
that's all we know about it so far. But becomes a very important piece of the story through multiple books.
Yeah.
So hint, hint, wink, wink on that one. But yeah, so as they keep writing and talking about this, now all of a sudden Lucian tells Feyre to shut up, to drop her weapons, because she drew her bow and arrow. She felt instinctively, which I love that she has these instincts naturally. And she felt something happening, and he tells her to drop her weapons and just to not look at anything. He was like,
just look straight ahead and don't move.
Yep. And the feeling that she feels and the what she hears is intense.
Yeah.
Like, she's just hearing this voice in her head. It's not out loud. And it's saying, look at me, look at me.
Yeah.
I will eat you. I will destroy you. And it is, as a reader, I was like, what is happening? This is terrifying. And they're just riding along, and she can't look at it, and she literally doesn't even blink. And then I was listening to the audiobook, and I was like, I wonder what would happen if I didn't blink.
There were a lot of times throughout the book where it'll be like she frowned or she winced, and I'll be like, I'll do the facial expressions. I feel like it's such a natural thing to do when you're a reader.
The growl?
Okay, I didn't do that. I'm not that one.
I'm just, have you seen the videos of people trying to do it?
No.
It is the funniest thing.
How funny.
Because you have to, like, what does that sound like? Like, in my head, I have an idea. Like, but then if I ever attempted it, it would come out like a high-pitched squeal. Right.
How funny.
Anyways.
Yeah.
So, long story short, I can't not blink. Because I wear contacts and they get really dry. So just, pro tip, don't do it.
Don't try.
Don't try. Take it
if you have contacts. If you don't, you're fine.
If you don't, good luck too, because apparently tears were streaming down her face when she was doing it.
Yeah, how crazy.
But I was like, oh. And then after this thing leaves, she asks Lucian what it was. And he says it's called the bog and that it's not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
So now you find out that there's this other force that isn't supposed to be there.
Right.
And he also drops some other information. And at this point, he starts freaking out. And he's like, he mentions a her. We don't know who this her is, but you can tell he's afraid of anything that he says getting back to her.
Yeah.
So another tip that's very important to know later on as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a huge information dump there, chapters 5 through 10.
Oh my God.
A lot of information to take in.
Well, especially the way 10 ends too.
Right.
Because then they go back. Tamlin's pissed. He's being jealous.
Yeah. They go back to the manor, the Spring Court Manor. And then that is where she's looking out for Tamlin to come back to the house, I believe. And then, but she sees, instead of Tamlin, she sees, or what she thinks she sees, as her father walking back. And so that brings up a whole bunch of emotions for her as well. And then we're kind of left on a little cliffhanger
there. Yeah. And it's funny that she's even waiting for Tamlin, because you're like, do you care enough about him?
Yeah.
Because, like, he went to go hunt this bog, or are you just seeing if he can actually do it? Are you testing his strength, or do you care? Because
this is where we learn that Tamlin is high fae and powerful enough that he is able to kill the bog. Exactly. So then it brings up the question of, okay, well, how much power do you really have within you? And what does that look like? You know?
So, no, this was a lot of information.
Yes.
But it was, oh God, so good. But yeah, when I was reading it, it got me thinking, like, the first time you enter someplace new, right? You have all these thoughts and everything. And to go with our gym, the first time I ever walked into a gym, I remember just feeling as uncomfortable and nervous and just so out of place.
Yeah.
The first time, what was it like for you the first time you ever walked into a gym?
You know, I'm really grateful for my whole gym experience, and especially the very beginning. So I started getting into the gym through my partner. He was in the military. He was a Marine. So we did long distance for a while. And so when he would come up to see me, he would be going to the gym all the time. And then it was just like, oh, no, I want to go with you. Well, let me come with. And so he actually came with me to, we started at LA Fitness, got my membership and everything. And so he was very kind and welcoming to that whole environment. And so it was very much like showing me the ropes of what to do, what not to do. But I think the most important was the support that he was providing for me. If I did something wrong, it wasn't like, don't fucking do that, you stupid, you know, which unfortunately in the past I had dealt with. And going from a relationship like that to someone who is so supportive and patient with you is freaking everything. So he was very, very, very kind and patient with me the whole process. And I had been going to the gym here and there with my mom growing up. We just do the elliptical. So I was like used to a gym environment, not nowhere near the free weight section or how machines worked or anything. And luckily my partner was kind enough to explain certain things to me and show me how to do certain things. And luckily that particular location, the gym community was very nice. And it was a lot of the people at that location. It was right next to my high school. So it was no matter what, you saw someone you knew, whether it was a teacher or a classmate or whoever, you knew someone there. Yeah. So that was very welcoming. So it wasn't necessarily such a scary experience for me. Really at all. Even as I started venturing on my own, I kind of had a sense of confidence going in because I had that support from the beginning, which is so important, I believe. Just support, whether you have the support within yourself, you have someone else supporting you, you have family supporting you, whatever it is in your starting, especially in this case with the gym, support matters for sure. What about you?
Oh, I love that, first of all. That's so cool. I think I started going to the gym, like, I was never consistent in a gym. I was a dancer my whole life, so I just danced a lot, and I did not lift weights. And I had a friend in high school, and when he went to college, he came back one summer and was like, do you want to come to the gym with me? And I was like, I guess so. So he brought me to our local YMCA and was like, here, I'll help you with the program. And so he brought me in, he showed me what to do, everything. I was like, okay, this is fine. And it actually was so great because all the programming he gave me, I took that. And when I moved to LA, I had already this pre-written thing that I knew. So I was able to take myself. The first gym I went to was 24-Hour Fitness. And I hated going alone because I was just so self-conscious and so uncomfortable because he wasn't there anymore. I only knew certain things and certain movements. I wasn't very confident in my abilities yet. And I just remember trying to like be as invisible as possible in a gym. And it was really tough. It was really tough. And I didn't want to go. I started dating a guy a few months later who loved the gym. So that was super helpful. We would go together and that got me a little more out of my comfort zone. I got to try new things. But when we broke up, I had to go back alone again.
Start again.
Exactly. And so now I'm learning all these different techniques and stuff. And finally, I got to a point about a year after that where I was like, okay, I think I know what I'm doing. And I think I feel comfortable enough to just go and do it. But the thing that got hard for me was going to new gyms.
Yeah.
Because there was still that feeling of, oh my gosh, am I going to get judged? Am I going to get looked at? It took me a long time to realize that no one is watching you. They are too busy watching themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they're a dude that wants to hit on you, in which case they might be watching you. But everybody is so stuck in their own world that no one is really paying attention to what you're doing.
Right.
And once I kind of realized that, I was like, cool.
Yeah.
I can do this.
Yeah.
And I'll be fine. And then now it's just a breeze. And now I love it.
Yeah.
I love going to new places now too.
Now, like for me, the anxiety that comes with going to new gyms in particular, because I recently switched gyms.
Yeah.
I now go to a different gym out in downtown, and my first worry there, which honestly I still had support because I had a friend who had a membership there. So she showed me around, you know, whatnot. But if I hadn't had her, the anxiety would definitely be around what equipment was where.
Yes.
And especially this gym that I go to is completely different setup and different machines, really equipment overall than what you'd see at your commercial gym. So it was having the same thing, just a different variation of it, and then trying to figure out how that works.
Yeah.
So there were plenty of times where I'd be like trying to work a certain machine and I'd be like, fuck does this work? I can't get this stupid knob to get out, blah, 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 you know? And so at that point, like, there's plenty of times I've made a fool of myself in front of people to the point where, like, someone would be like, sweetie, this is how you do it. And one, thankful to them, because otherwise I wouldn't get that movement in. But two, like, at some point, I feel like a lot of things in life, but you have to kind of just learn to not take things so seriously and laugh at yourself. And there's plenty of times where I can't, like it happened the other day. I was trying to adjust a machine and I couldn't get it. And I'm mumbling to myself, and I'm sure the person next to me heard me. And I'm like, what the fuck? How the fuck can I do this thing? Is stupid ass, you know, just going off and just having fun with it and laughing about it and smiling to myself about it, because it happens, you know, no matter what. It all just depends on how you're going to react to it. Are you going to allow that to, you know, completely embarrass you and shut down your whole workout, where I'm afraid to do this now because of this or whatever? Or are you just going to laugh it off and be like, oh, shit happens.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
A couple months ago, I was at the gym and I was wearing a baseball cap, and I was at like on the Smith machine, I think. Or no, I was at a squat rack, and I went to go put a plate on the rack, and I stood up and banged the crap out of my head on the corner of the barbell. Like it was bad. I swear to God, I had an indent in my brain, and I was dying laughing, because it was either die laughing or die of embarrassment. Right. Because I was so embarrassed. I was embarrassed, but I just couldn't stop laughing about how dumb I must have looked to I literally went, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then just burst into like hysterical laughter.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a good point, is not to take it so seriously and to laugh. And so is that something you would tell a newcomer going into the gym? Is that your advice you would give? Or what would you tell someone who's like, is new?
A couple of things. Definitely one, have fun with it. I mean, you're there to work on yourself and improve yourself in whatever way you'd like. So if you do go, find something that you enjoy doing. You know, a big thing that I'll do within my own programs or through my clients' programs is, okay, number one, are you having fun? Are you enjoying your time? Obviously, do certain things to get to your goals, whatever. But if you're not having fun, it's not going to bring you back to do it more and to get to your goals. So first thing, are you enjoying the process? Are you having fun doing it? So find something that you enjoy doing. A lot of times I see within newcomers at the gym is, you know, they'll grab equipment and most of the time they'll go to the, like, usually there's an aerobics room and people will do their full workouts there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like if that brings you more comfort and confidence to go ahead and work by yourself in a little corner there, for sure, go ahead and do it. I would say don't get too comfortable there because you got to expand a little bit more, and getting out of that own comfort zone brings growth in itself. And I think that's important. So definitely if you're first going in and you want to have your own little space, for sure, go for it. Or go ahead and try out new machines and whatnot. But don't just stick to one little section for your entire time, because although it may be comforting to you, I promise you're not going to grow as much as you essentially want and need. So that would be number one. Number two would be, don't be afraid to ask questions, whether it's another gym goer or a personal trainer that works there, or some sort of employee that works at the gym. You know, that's their job. As someone who's worked at a commercial gym before as both a trainer and not a trainer, that's our job to do. So, you know, go ahead and ask. We're not scary.
No, we're not.
We're probably the biggest teddy bears ever. Especially, which I love, what I would always do, which I still kind of resort to sometimes, is I look for the biggest people at the gym, muscle wise. You know, you go up to them and be like, hey, you seem to know what you're doing. You absolutely look the part. Can you kind of help me really quick? You know, and those, I promise you, are the people who are wanting to help the most, who want you to come up to them and ask, because it brings some sort of satisfaction to them and whatnot. But like, those people that you admire in the gym were once where you were, where you are at now. So if they can provide any guidance or anything to you, I promise you they're going to want to do that. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Get comfortable, but also get uncomfortable. And I think that might be it for now. Yeah. For what my brain is thinking right now. What about you?
I mean, both of those things. Yeah. I love that. Something that really helped me at the beginning was having a plan. Yeah. Like making sure that I went into the gym with a plan. I'm very much a research focused person. I like doing my own research. So every time I would find a plan, or like I would hire a coach, or I would get a plan online, I would research everything, every move that they had listed. I'd look it up. I'd look up second opinions of it. I would just like watch videos, find the correct form. I hired a trainer, which was super important to me, so that I was able to ask questions to them. Yeah. But I went in with a plan. Yeah, so I went in going, okay, I know exactly what I'm going to do today. I'm not going to go aimless, because I find that that's the biggest deterrent for people is they go in without a plan, and then they get overwhelmed, and then they get uncomfortable, or they get too comfortable and they're not planning, and they do the same thing over and over again, and they never push, and they never see results. And it's just basically, then they're going to leave and be like, I'm not happy. This didn't work.
Or it didn't work for me.
Yes, exactly. So I think that it's super important to have a plan. Asking for help is never going to hurt you. How we met was me asking you to spot me on a bench press. So it's like, I made now one of my very good friends because I asked for help. Right. And that's something that I would definitely recommend to do, is ask for help. And just remember, you're going in for yourself. Yeah. So take this time for you. Dress for you. Don't try to follow a trend. Don't try to dress like everybody you see on Instagram. If that doesn't make you comfortable, you don't need to do it. That's something that I tried to do at the very beginning and I wasn't comfortable. And I'd walk into a gym being really uncomfortable in my own skin because I just wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
And so once I started realizing, okay, this is for me, I'm going to dress for me, I'm going to do everything I need to do, it made it so much more fun because I was comfortable. So I think that's really what I would say. Yeah. It's just, and then just go in. Yeah. Don't let the fear stop you from doing it. Yeah. 'Cause yes, it's scary, but it's scarier not to do it.
Exactly. And then, you know, another thing I want to add too is a lot of the times, especially if you go, I mean, commercial gym and not commercial gym, 99% of the time, there will be classes offered, aerobics classes, whether it be, oh God, at least at LA Fitness, I know they had yoga, they had mat Pilates, they had some sort of like cardio, aerobics thing. There was boxing, you know, all these kind of things. So definitely, you know, use that too. If you're not comfortable using the weights or using machines or, you know, anything like that just yet, grab a friend and go into a class and have fun. You know, I also taught at yoga at some of the classes, or yes, I taught yoga as well. And, you know, there's definitely like, there's always a lot of fear around joining yoga classes too, because then people are like, well, I'm not flexible enough. Not to get into that tangent, but that's not the point. Yeah. It's just the matter of you showing up. So if you show up alone, if you show up with a friend, one person, two person, however many you need, as long as you're there, you're doing it. Yeah. Stepping outside of your house to head to the gym is number one.
Oh my God, that's the biggest battle is actually leaving the house.
Yeah.
That's it. I used to, when I first started, I would sleep in my workout clothes so that I would actually get up and go to the gym because I wouldn't go.
Wow.
So I literally slept in workout clothes. Yeah. I'm not kidding. For the first like 2 months of my like fitness journey, I slept in my workout clothes.
That's crazy.
And I tell that to everybody. I wore 2 sports bras to bed because at that point I had big boobs still. And I did it. I did it because I knew I had to.
Another thing too that could help, which I still do occasionally, which actually I do all the time, is, you know, at first what I wore back then versus what I wore now is so different, but it stayed the same, where it's like, I want to pick out an outfit that is going to be good that will not only support what movements I'm going to be doing, but help me feel good and everything. So it was kind of like when you dress up or you have a field trip the next day and you get so excited, oh my God, what am I going to wear?
Pick out your outfit.
It's that. And I promise you, it's, for me at least, it has very much been that still to this day of what am I going to wear? Okay, leg days, I wear this. Upper body days, I wear this. You know, that sort of thing. Because then exactly. And it makes you feel good and it makes you feel even more confident when you walk in. So when you're doing said movements, you're just feeling great within yourself, and that only helps the movements in your workout more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to ask.
Yes.
What was your thorn and what was your rose for this week?
Okay. I think, man, I don't know. How about you go first?
Okay. My thorn probably was just Farrah's inner monologue throughout the whole thing. It just got really old to me because I felt like it was very just repetitive. Thank you. Which I understand. Again, I get it. But I think having read the whole series and like knowing what I know, I'm just like, girl, come on. So I think for me as a reader, I was just like, okay, I'm a little over it. I'm a little over it. But I understand why it needed to happen.
Yeah.
And my rose actually goes to Lucien and Farrah's friendship, their little relationship, because the way they verbally spar had me dying. I loved it. I actually was so much more invested in their relationship than I was in Tamlin and Farrah's relationship. Yeah. Especially when she started like snapping back at Lucien and he was like,
he can take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, there you go.
Right.
I so loved that part.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay. So then I would have to say my rose actually had to be Tamlin and Feyre, where it was the awkwardness and reminding me so much of Beauty and the Beast. And even though Beauty and the Beast is not my favorite princess, it was still very fun to be at my age now, but then remembering what I was watching and feeling back then when I watched Beauty and the Beast and how that came out and the resemblance between the two and how they still connected from however many years ago when I watched it versus who I am now. Oh, yeah. So that was very funny for me. Thorn, I would have to say probably the repetitiveness, like how you just said as well. I think too, just the information overload, understandably so, like it is very much needed. But as someone who wasn't a fantasy reader growing up, it was just kind of like, okay, let me read the same paragraph over and over again so I can really understand what's going on. And so just trying to bring in all that information. Yeah. So.
Oh my God.
That was my thorn. That was my rose.
I love it. That the repetitiveness is something that is so common throughout her books. And just wait until you get to Crescent City, girl, because that world building. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God. It's so good though, but it was...
I have not read it yet.
It was a lot. I know.
Yeah.
I know that's on our list.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was quite a week.
Quite a week. Quite a week of information.
I know. I feel like I still need more coffee.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
I know.
2 espresso shots was not enough.
No, we should have gotten the third one. Our clients would have killed us tonight. We would have showed up at work like bouncing off walls. Geeked out. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining. And we will see you next week.
Next week. Yep.
All right. Bye.
Bye.